So happy Women's Month, Love Reaching Communities. The staff at the church were encouraged to, and other people of the congregation, to talk about a woman in the Bible that inspires them. I must be honest, at first take on that, I thought, why are you asking me? I certainly don't know. I'm not the epitome of a woman. I'm a woman by virtue, but certainly I'm not the typical woman, and so I definitely didn't think that I would be able to communicate a message to the woman. And then I didn't know who to speak about, and so I said, okay, give me a name, who should I speak about? And some boys piped up and said Hannah, and internally I went, really? I'm a 40-year-old single woman without children, and I should speak about how Hannah in a year's time gives birth to Samuel. But I agreed that I would do that. Those are the things that we do. We do the things that we don't really want to do in life. And I went to the scripture. So come with me and let me introduce you to Hannah as I discovered her. Okay, so it's 1 Samuel 5. But to Hannah he gave a double portion. Just before the scripture, it introduces who the husband of Hannah is. I can't really say his name well, but you'll hear that soon enough. And he just talks about how he's married to two women. The one woman has children and Hannah does not have children. So it says, but to Hannah he gave a double portion because he loved her, though the Lord had closed her womb. And her rival used to provoke her grievously to irritate her, because the Lord had closed her womb. So it went on year by year. As often as she went up to the house of the Lord, she used to provoke her. Therefore Hannah wept and would not eat. And Elkanah, her husband, said to her, Hannah, why do you weep? And why do you not eat? And why is your heart sad? Am I not more than 10 sons? The scripture continues. She was deeply distressed, and she vowed a vow and said, can I say that again? She was deeply distressed and prayed to the Lord and wept bitterly. And she vowed a vow and said, O Lord of hosts, if you will indeed look upon me, on the affliction of your servant, and remember me, and not forget your servant, but will give your servant a son, then I will give him to the Lord all the days of his life, and no razor shall touch his head. As she continued praying before the Lord, Eli observed her mouth. Hannah was speaking to her in her heart, only her lips moved, and her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli took her to be a drunken woman. And Eli said to her, how long will you go on being drunk? Put your wine away from you. But Hannah answered, No, my Lord, I am a woman troubled in spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but I have been pouring out my soul before the Lord. Do not regard your servant as a worthless woman. For all along I have been speaking out of my great anxiety and vexation. Then Eli answered, Go in peace, and the God of Israel grant you your petition that you have made to him. And he said, Let your servant find favor in your eyes. Then the woman went her way and ate, and her face was no longer sad. So I want to speak to you, woman, and say, what is it that you hold in your heart as shame, and that you have brought year after year in front of your enemies and your foes being mocked at before God? And are you doing that? So I hold shame around being single and not being a mother as a woman. And in my circle, in my community, that has, I've accepted it, but it's been put on me to be ashamed of that. And so I don't know what your shame is, but shame seems to be universal. So maybe you're ashamed that you're divorced, or that you're abused, or that you're not woman enough, or too much, too loud, or not clever, or too clever, too big or too small, not beautiful enough. You know, we carry shame around us. And if you've struggled with something that year after year, I know that resonates with me, that I can say to God, year after year, I bring this to you. But Hannah engages with God, and he's not afraid of her emotions and her complexity and her shame. In fact, he's quite happy to have her come and speak so boldly. So I want to encourage you to come to the Lord and to engage with him, because there may not be a child that is birthed in a year's time, but maybe hope is being birthed. Or maybe God is settling a relationship with you that is going deeper and more intimate. I identify more with the fact that with Princess Fiona, in a year's time, I'm more likely to turn into an ogre than I am to have a man on a white horse, But I'm engaging with God in this, and I'm bringing it to him, my shame, and he's starting to speak to me. And I want to encourage for you to hear the story and what is it that you hold shame on. And as the daughter of our King and our God, come before him and lay that at his feet, because Eli and the others may judge you and think, woman, why are you doing this, or why are you acting that way? You look drunk. But God doesn't do that. He's like, come to the Father, come to me, let me speak with you, let me be with you. And so may that be the story that you hear in Hannah. And if you're barren, maybe there'll be a baby in a year's time. Buy a crib if God says that to you, but let God speak to you. What is he saying to you in this space? And to me, he's saying, bring me your shame and come and communicate with me.